Hello everyone, my name is Eliza Bayalingat and today we embark on a journey through time and culture as we explore through captivating topics. First one is describing drama and theater in the medieval world, and second, the knowing the theater of the West. But before that, let's have some motivation first to awaken your minds. This game is called Family Feud. Are you familiar with that game? Okay, my partner will discuss the mechanics of the game. I am honored to have my esteemed partner, Mr. Franklin Torrejos, leading the way in my absence. Though I may not be physically present, I am confident that these discussions through recorded video will be both enlightening and engaging. Hope you have awakened your mind and had fun. Now let's tackle the describing drama and theater in medieval world. What is medieval world? With its roots medi, meaning middle, and eve, meaning age, medieval literally means of the Middle Ages. In this case, middle means between the Roman Empire and the Renaissance, that is after the fall of the great Roman state and before the rebirth of culture that we call the Renaissance. Medieval history. Medieval history was like a long journey through time where knights, castles, and kings played key roles. Picture a world with powerful kings at the top, living in big castles and ruling over vast lands. These kings had noble friends like lords and ladies to help them manage everything. Medieval history known as Dark Ages. Teacher, what is Dark Ages? The term Dark Ages refers to the early medieval period approximately from the 5th to the 10th century AD, and is often used to characterize a perceived decline in cultural, economic, and intellectual development in Europe during that time. So, it's called Dark Ages because first, it has no reliable political structure and the church was the only stable government. Aside from that, it has limited historical records, political instability, economic challenges, and cultural shifts. Feudalism, the manor was the chief non-church political entity. So feudalism was like a system of organized relationships in medieval times. Imagine a pyramid. At the top was the king. The second are the nobles or lords, and the last is the peasants and knights. I know you already know what this means because of course the king should be at the top because it is powerful. And the second is the nobles or the lords, and the last at the bottom, which are the peasants and knights, who are the servants of those two. So look at my example. As you can see, there is a king with the land and a noble. So the king gave the part of his land to the noble in exchange of military and services. Do you get it? So I'm going to explain again. This king has its land and he gave it to the nobles in exchange for loyalty and military. However, these nobles gave part of his land to the peasants and the knights in exchange of services and protection. Okay, do you understand? You know, it was a big interconnected web of arguments or agreements and duties. The king had the most power, but he relied on the support of the lords, who in turn relied on the knights and peasants. You know, it was a way of organizing society and resources during a time when strong central governments were less common. Now let's move forward. Little is known about the theater between 600 and 1000 AD. There are references to actors or histriones, jugglers, rope dances in nomadic tribes, remnants of Roman mimes, popular pagan festivals and rites, Teutonic minstrels or troubadours, scopes, pronounced shope, became the primary preserver of tribal histories. Teutonic minstrels or troubadours were like the storytellers and musicians of ancient tribes. They played an important role in preserving the history and traditions of their people. Imagine them as musical storytellers who traveled from place to place, singing songs and telling tales about the adventures, heroes, and events of their tribe. These minstrels were like living history books, passing down the history from one generation to the next through their songs and performances. Also, Christian ceremonies where the theater seems to have been reborn. Between 925 and 975, drama becomes reintroduced into the church services. Theater, on the other hand, was reborn within the very institutions that helped to shut it down. In simpler terms, between 925 and 975 AD, there was a revival of theatrical elements within Christian ceremonies. Drama, which had previously been less prominent, made a comeback and became reintroduced into church services. This means that within the church, there was a renewed interest in using theatrical performances, possibly to convey religious stories and teachings. Medieval theater. Medieval theater is the category of medieval theater and is vast. Vast means big or broad. Medieval theater laid the groundwork for the development of later theatrical traditions while it had religious origins. It paved the way for the emergence of secular drama in the Renaissance. These are the type of medieval theater. First one is liturgical drama, next is mystery plays, third is morality plays, and last, the interludes. But before I discuss that, I want to introduce you to these two. Because medieval theater was divided into two main categories, religious and secular. Religious play for religious, liturgical drama, mystery plays, morality plays, interludes for secular. Let's move forward. Religious. Religious was performed in the church and was based on the biblical stories or the lives of saints. It was designed to educate and entertain the people and to reinforce their faith. The religious drama was performed during the major festivals such as Christmas, Easter, and Pentecost, and it was an essential part of the liturgy. Secular drama, on the other hand, was performed outside the church, and it was based on the themes of love, chivalry, and morality. It was performed at fairs, markets, and other public places, and it was intended to entertain the people. The secular drama was a reflection of the changing social and cultural values of the medieval period. Now let's discuss the type of medieval theater. First is liturgical drama. Liturgical drama in the Middle Ages type of play acted within or near the church in relating stories from the Bible and of the saints. Liturgy refers to the rituals and ceremonies of religious worship and has been an important part of Christian traditions for centuries. Liturgical performances often involve the use of music, prayer, and readings from religious texts, and are designed to create a sense of awe and reverence among the congregation. Next is mystery cycles. These cycles were often performed during the feast of Corpus Christi. Mystery plays were performances that told stories from the Bible, specifically the events of the Old and New Testaments. Mystery plays were designed to educate people about religious stories and principles and were often performed in public spaces such as town squares or marketplaces. Next is morality plays. Morality play an allegorical dramas that were intended to teach moral lessons. Okay? Morality plays were performed in both secular and religious settings and were popular because they used engaging stories and characters to teach important moral lessons. Last is the interludes. Interludes is the origins of medieval drama are found in Christian liturgy as part of religious ceremonies. Interludes were short plays that were performed in between larger events, such as banquets or other social gatherings. They were typically less formal than other forms of drama and often included audience participation or improvisations. These performances were an important part of the religious and cultural life of the medieval people, and they played a significant role in shaping the development of English literature. The medieval drama. Medieval drama refers to the theatrical performances of the Middle Ages. Medieval drama has come to define different kinds of dramatic performances across the continent. It is important, therefore, to consider the distinct genres that formed. The religious plays. Religious play, in a broad sense, refers to a theatrical performance that is centered around religious themes, stories, or characters. These plays are often designed to convey religious messages, teach moral lessons, or celebrate religious events. In the context of medieval theater, religious plays took various forms such as mystery plays, miracle plays, and morality plays. Now let's dive into the next topic, which is knowing the theater of the West. But before that, we have to discuss the origins of Western theater. The origins of Western theater trace back to ancient Greece. The Greeks around 5th century BCE created and developed theatrical performances as a form of art and entertainment. They introduced the concept of plays performed in amphitheaters featuring actors who portrayed characters in stories. First one is pre-classical antiquity. Pre-classical antiquity is a social art-based explorations of the cycles of nature, from birth to death, and the forces that compel favor. During pre-classical antiquity, significant civilizations and cultures were developing in regions such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and China. These societies laid the groundwork for later classical civilizations, contributing to the growth of art, literature, agriculture, and early form of governance. Next is nature worship. Nature worship is the most widely held theory about the origins of theater, and that is evolved from rituals. Nature worship refers to the religious or spiritual practice of revering and honoring natural elements, forces, and phenomena. In cultures that engage in nature worship, there is a belief that various aspects of the natural world, such as mountains, rivers, trees, animals, and celestial bodies, possess spiritual significance of divine qualities. Third one is shamanism. Shamanism is a spiritual or second theory proposes the theater evolved from shamanistic, and it is a healing practice found in various cultures around the world. Shamans or individuals who practice shamanism are regarded as spiritual intermediaries who can communicate with the spirit world to address issues such as healing, guidance, and maintaining balance within the community. Now let's move forward to ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt was a civilization in Northeast Africa along the Nile River. Ancient Egypt was a civilization that thrived along the banks of the Nile River in northeastern Africa for thousands of years. Nile River, pharaohs, pyramids, hieroglyphics, polytheistic religions, and mummies were evolved during ancient Egypt. Next is ancient Greece. Ancient Greece was a very old time in Europe and flourished in the Mediterranean region around 2,500 years ago. Democracy in Athens, philosophy, Olympic Games, mythology, drama, and theater, and architecture, along with Alexander the Great and city of Sparta, evolved from ancient Greece era. Okay, ancient Greece has its two types. First one is dramatic genres, which is referred to categories or styles of drama that share common characteristics, themes, and narrative structures. Dramatic genres refer to different categories or type of plays and performances that share common stylistic and thematic elements. Here are some major dramatic genres in simple terms. First one is tragedy. Second is comedy. Third, drama. Fourth, historical drama. Fifth, farce. Sixth, mystery. Seventh, musical drama. Eighth, melodrama. And then, satire. Next is the theater. Outdoor setting for performances of Greek drama traditionally comprised three areas. So the theater typically refers to the broader world or theatrical performances encompassing a variety of dramatic forms and venues, such as live performances, venues, genres, audience interaction, cultural expression, artistic elements, history and tradition, education and entertainment, and evolution. Let's move forward. Now, the ancient Rome. Ancient Rome was a civilization that emerged around the 8th century BCE and lasted for over a millennium. Ancient Rome was a powerful civilization that emerged around the 8th century BCE and lasted for over a million. Here are some key points about ancient Rome. First is City of Rome. Second, Roman Republic. Third, Roman Empire. 4. Julius Caesar. 5. Pax Romana. 6. Colosseum. 8. Latin language. And 9. Roman mythology. On the other hand, native traditions. Despite the lack of originality shown by dramatists, there were in Italy several native comic traditions that helped to shape the style of Roman comedy. It refers to the cultural and spiritual practices of indigenous or native communities around the world. Rituals, indigenous people, sacred places, arts and crafts, and respect for elders. Next is the imitation of Greek models. It is the act of replicating or emulating various aspects of ancient Greek culture, art, philosophy, and other intellectual achievements. This practice has been evident throughout history, with different societies and periods looking to ancient Greece and as a source of inspiration. Seeds of decay typically conveys the idea of the initial stages or elements that lead to a decline, deterioration, or downfall. The metaphorical use of seeds suggests the early or underlying factors that, if left unaddressed, can grow into more significant problems or contribute to a gradual decline. It's often used to describe the beginning of a negative process or the origins of something that leads to decay or deterioration over time. Mime and pantomime are related performance arts that involve conveying stories or expressions without spoken words. Now that we are done with our discussion, let's see if we have gained learnings or knowledge from our two topics for today. There will be a QR code where you can scan it to take your short quiz. If you have questions, you may ask Mr. Franklin Torrejas for assistance. Again, I am Eliza Bealingat and thank you very much.